Thank you everybody for joining the webinar today. My name is Steve Bowles and I manage our business development efforts here at FSOT. One of our most common use cases for our document intelligence platform is accounts payable invoice processing. In this webinar, we'll examine the top 5 challenges with invoices and show you a quick demonstration on how you can leverage our platform application to solve the issue, or use our web services to provide your RPA solution with document vision for your digital workforce. Before we get started, a quick overview on FSOT. If you're not familiar with us, we help you create actionable information from unstructured document content chaos. So it's through this that we provide structured order and finally data to enlighten your organization. Accounts payable is a strategic tool within today's organization and plays a key role in the origination of many business processes and required workflow operations. Strategic initiatives like fraud prevention, supply chain finance, financial visibility, and cash management rely on the efficient operation of the AP function. But a majority of AP departments are plagued by low-level tactical challenges that can slow down invoice processing and impact broader efforts. Ardent Partners has a great report they put out with some interesting baseline statistics. These stats are eye-opening and apply to 80% of the AP departments surveyed. Later on, I'll show you a snapshot of these same statistics for a best-in-class department. Some key focus areas. Almost a quarter of the invoices that come in have some exception or problem that can lead to a delay in processing. Only 1/5 of the invoices are coming in electronically. A fifth goes straight through the process, and these factors lead to lengthy processing time and an overall cost in time and effort of about $14.38 per individual invoice. If we look at a typical organization, they receive invoice documents from a wide variety of sources on a daily basis. This typically creates a multi-channel problem, and organizations struggle creating a streamlined flow for physical and digital documents, let alone one from fax, scanners, copiers, mobile, email. Well, you get the picture. In processing, humans typically have a variety of workflows, both manual and automated, to go through inbound documents. Some may augment and automate a piece of this with technology, but the core steps always remain. Docs are received, ID'd, separated, sorted, and then routed. Important data is identified, that data is extracted and entered, and then data and documents may be validated. Although this step is missing in quite a bit of organization, which causes additional problems. Hopefully in the end, the data and documents land in the correct system. Invoice processing suffers from many of the standard challenges around inbound document processing and also some unique ones as well. I'll go over the top 5 issues as outlined in the State of ePay survey here in the next few slides. Dealing with exceptions can be a major problem. So what constitutes an exception? Missing information, missing pages, miscalculated totals, math errors, the list goes on and on. The lack of ability to quickly and automatically identify these issues at the earliest possible moment can add significantly to the processing time, and if not identified at all, can result in extensive time, effort, and dollars to fix the issue later. Are you familiar with the 1-10-100 rule? It's a total quality management rule that examines the hidden costs of poor quality and discusses prevention, remediation, and failure. If you apply it to inbound document processing and AP processing, essentially it says that if you catch an error before it enters the process, it'll cost you $1 to fix. Once it enters the process, it'll cost you $10. And if it goes through the entire process deemed a failure, it'll cost you $100 to fix once the process is done and it's in the system and affecting the organization. So not catching invoice exceptions early will cause the loss of time and money and have severe downstream effects. Many of the problems with invoice processing can lead to an extensive processing cycle. Invoices from a variety of sources, exceptions, and identifying approvers can result in delays. Many organizations leverage email routing for approval, which can lead to a loss of visibility and difficulty in tracking. It's amazing how much paper is still flowing into accounting departments. In many cases, organizations create a whole separate workflow for their paper documents, which creates a multi-channel problem that's not standardized and uses separate technologies. Then there's what I call the stack problem, where invoice stacks are scanned one by one instead of just letting the technology sort and separate. This is one of the biggest time savers, and scanning invoices in large batches for processing and being able to accept PDFs that contain multiple PDF invoices can smooth the overall process flow. There are numerous factors that contribute to a cumulative cost effect. At $14.38 per invoice, even departments with a relatively low volume of invoices can create massive costs that can impede any organization. The final challenge is lack of transparency and visibility into the process. How many invoices are we processing per day? How long does it take to process? What are our bottlenecks? What's the status of an approval? The list goes on and on. Without proper data and reporting, the AP invoice process is a black box without audit capability, and things can get lost in the shuffle. The good news is, with today's technology, there's a number of solutions that can be combined to not only solve all these challenges, but do so affordably with a rapid return on investment. So to solve these challenges, what do we need to do? Obviously, reducing the overall processing time is a main priority and tops on the list. This can be accomplished by minimizing manual data entry and working to increase straight-through processing of invoices. Catching problems early is key, and preventing bad data from entering our systems of record is paramount. To be as effective as possible, a single standardized flow for all inbound documents is required. This single flow creates a repeatable, predictable process that allows for complete reporting, audit capabilities to create transparency. Depending on your needs and technology in place, FSOT Transact can resolve challenges either as a standalone application or in combination with an existing RPA or workflow application. Invoices can be processed through a single channel, regardless of source, paper or digital, through email, scanners, copiers, folders, email attachments, mobile, and more. Documents can be ingested individually or in stacks or bundles, and our engine will split them up and extract header and table data. The goal is to maximize the straight-through processing, but for those invoices that are poor quality, have missing data, or fail validation rules, an intuitive user interface allows for rapid correction and release to a wide variety of document repositories, applications for further processing or routing, or a system of record like an ERP. Just about all application function can also be accessed through a range of web services that can be accessed by your digital workforce as well. We have several major RPA tools with built-in activities and objects to make leveraging our platform simple. Transact is a broad platform for all types of document intelligence needs, but we do have specific functionality around invoices to give you a head start. At the lowest level, our 2019.1 release contains core invoice machine learning, a pre-built model that provides out-of-the-box extraction for 12 core invoice header fields. This release also includes enhanced machine learning, which allows operators to point-and-click capability to further train the system. And finally, in Q2 of 2019, we'll be releasing Transact for Invoice, an extended model that addresses the reality of multi-language support, country identification, and more. And I'll show you some of that in the demo. So putting in a smart capture solution as your defense against invoice process inefficiency has an accelerating effect on your business, and the results can be extreme. So let's revisit our initial statistics on invoice processing and look at the numbers for a best-in-class operation that leverages smart technology to remove hurdles and create a smooth running machine. Processing time goes from 10 days down to 3. Exceptions are cut in half, now at about 11%. By scanning invoices and increasing the percentage of electronic invoices from 20 to 58% within a single processing flow, straight-through processing goes from 19% to 65%. The end result, the overall cost of an invoice goes from 14 down to about 252. So you can see the impact is quite significant. So with Smart Capture, there's a number of benefits that tie nicely into the core challenges of AP and can be applied to any document process. Cost savings. Obviously, as in the invoice example, there can be some serious savings on the cost front. The ability to do more with less and automate any process can save dollars in man-hours. Governance and compliance. Just like Invoice Transparency Challenge, have a central flow pipe for all your document flows creates a centralized set of data with information that's not only inside the documents, but also data about the process. Productivity and efficiency increases are a core benefit of the document process automation. With digital transformation, transforming legacy processes into new, automated, and intelligent flows can be a primary goal, and the addition of an intelligent document platform can speed results within any digital project. Lastly, accounting departments adopting service-based models, the experience of internal customers can have an impact on the department's reputation and company performance. Now that we understand the challenges and have a high-level view of the solution and benefits, let's see it in action. So to tee this up, this will be a two-part demo. Part one, I'll show off the invoice capabilities of the FSOT transact application interactively. And then I'll shift gears and show you how we can create AP clerk robots through a powerful web service layer. Let's see. So to start off with, we'll go ahead and do a demo. And really quick, before I get into the demo, at the end, I'll have a question and answer period, and you can submit your questions either through chat or through Q&A. The first demo, I'll go ahead and walk you through the FSOT transact application. So what you see here is FSOT transact open. We support all major browsers. So IT folks love us because you don't have client server. You don't have to install anything on the client unless you're scanning. Very simple to use for resellers and partners and customers that want to brand this or match it to their portal. You can actually replace the logo and put your own logo and do some color changing as well in CSS. So if you look at the application, there's a couple different sets of widgets. One is an administrator widget, which will actually let you do the administrative functionality. And then you have operator capability as well. And these can be trimmed via security settings. So through this interface, you've got a couple ways to upload documents. You can either scan through the browser or you can upload. Now remember, in the background, the FSOT server also has the ability to import from email and attachments, the ability to harvest folders, and then you have API capability, which I'll show you as we get into the RPA example, okay? So in this example, I'm going to go ahead and logged in, and this is an Azure instance that we have running of FSOT Transact. It brings us to the upload page. I'm going to go ahead and pick a set of international invoices. And these are a variety of different languages. This is a beta version. Transact for Invoice will support a few different languages that'll be in the pre-release notes. So we'll go ahead and upload these, and I'll go ahead and start the batch. You'll see the batch get submitted, okay? So if I come in here, there's a couple different ways that FSOT can increase transparency that we talked about as one of the major challenges. The first way is our batch instance manager. So think of this as kind of a master dashboard of all the work that's going on within FSOT Transact. So if I come in here and I refresh, you'll actually see that batch that I just uploaded is now running. And down on the right-hand side, you'll see all the different capture modules that it goes through step by step. Now in FSOT, we've got, I think, 65 or 68 plugins that actually exist within these different modules that perform different actions. This is a big advantage over some of the point solutions that are out there on the market. We've seen a lot of different invoice-only type of solutions that have popped up. We have a very extensive functionality here and can do all different types of things that I'll continue to show you in the demo here. So you see this, this invoice is ripped through. It's now stuck in the validate document module. We have a couple different places that documents can stop if there's issues or exceptions. I'll go ahead and show you one here in a minute, but the other way that we can increase visibility is we've got basic reporting here. And then if I can open up my menu here. And then we've also got reporting capabilities in the product. So we've got really basic reporting that comes bundled with the product that'll show you things like how many batches are in flight, where they're stopped. And then you've got the ability as a manager to take a peek at the priorities of batches and different batches in flight. And then we've also got some extensive reports on throughput, how many pages are going through the system, and the type of performance that you're seeing. We've also got advanced reports where you can get really granular on where things are stopping in your workflow. You can find bottlenecks, how often people are having to correct. And this is great information not only for day-to-day ops, but to tune the system so you get max throughput and the quickest turnaround on your invoices. Okay. So let's go back to that batch that we've got queued. You see it's sitting here ready for validation. And there's two queues within FSOT where things will stop if there's problems or some type of confidence or baseline issue. So in this example, this is our validation interface. In validation, it's where we can look at the data. We do have a review interface that I haven't shown here, but that addresses classification and separation, so the splitting of invoices as they come in. So in this example, in validation, red, there's an issue, green is good. Everything's color-coded. You can see on some of these invoices, I've got some problems. We go ahead and we change the fields to red, and when you hover, you can see the problem that we have. So in this example, this is kind of a low-quality document. You can see that the invoice is in a shaded area. So FSOT just had a question, said, hey, I think this is right, which it is. It extracted it correctly, but just check it to make sure. So we can go ahead and validate those fields, validate the document. You see it turns green and it skips right to the next doc. This particular one was also low confidence. You can see that it's a very small font that was confused during the OCR process. So I can come in and fix this issue really quickly. So once again, fixing those exceptions before they get into the system of record. And I can go through and fix these one by one. And we'll go through and you can see here in this example, the total wasn't extracted. So I can actually go to page 2, point and click. And if you have enhanced machine learning on, it'll actually put a rule on top of the existing rule sets that are in the product. Okay, so I can point and click and train the system as we go. The other thing I wanted to show is something unique that we do is we also use external data sources to make our product more intelligent. So in this example, this is called our fuzzy database or fuzzy DB function, where we can tie FSOT into, in this example, an ERP vendor table. And it takes that information and it bounces it off the text of the document and uses it to verify that the correct vendor has been selected. Okay. Now, in addition to the information that would be in the vendor database, I can also pull back additional information. You can see that vendor ID and vendor IBAN, that information doesn't exist on this invoice, but through that matching capability, I can bring it back into the system so I have it available for export. Okay. So if you take a peek, you've seen how we can process paper through that scanning interface. You've seen transparency, how we can shorten the cycle and speed things up from an exceptions processing perspective. Now let's take a look at what we can do for the digital workforce. So this is another demo that we'll go through, and in this example, I've got a PDF package of invoices that we're going to process with a digital worker. And you can see I've got a number of invoices in here, some single page, some double page. We're going to go ahead and process those from start to finish. And just to give you an example here, let me shrink this down so it refreshes in my virtual machine. What we're going to do, we've got UiPath enabled for this particular demo, and thanks to Chris McWilliams, our solution engineer, who built this out for me. What that robot is going to do, it's going to watch an email address. So in this example, I've got an email box called AP that's set up, where we're going to send an invoice here in a minute. And the robot's going to constantly check that email box, and when it finds it, it's actually going to grab that email attachment. It's going to process it. It's going to name it. It's going to create a temp directory. And then it's actually going to call FSOT transact web services. So in this example, it's actually going to use the upload batch web service, which contacts a server, uploads the batch, and kicks off processing. And then what it's going to do is watch that batch, wait until it gets to a particular status. Once it does, it's going to send an email if it queues up in a validation or an exceptions step, okay? Now we have a number of activities within UiPath that we can use. We've also got a visual business object in Blue Prism. And for any other workflow or robotic tool, you can actually just link into our Swagger-based web services, hook in and upload files that way as well, okay? So let's go into our email interface, and I'm going to go ahead and create a message. We'll go ahead and send this to the AP department at my fictional company. We'll go ahead and title it Invoice. And then we'll go ahead and attach that batch of invoices that I showed you. We'll go ahead and send that off. So let's go ahead and log into the FSOT server. And once again, you can see I've done a few different items here and there. You can see that new batch came in. So the robot actually gave it a unique tracking ID, uploaded into batch processing. So you can actually check on the status and have that full audit and reporting capability within FSOT for transparency. And you'll see it's going to go through the process just like it did with everything else. So if I look down here, you can see it ripped through, and uh-oh, it paused. Okay, so there's some type of issue that I have to fix. Now note, if there were no issues, it would have went straight through, no problem, start to finish, and the robot would have had that data to go ahead and process. But in this example, that would be a boring demo. So I'm actually going to open this email, and you can see the robot watched that batch, made sure that if it stopped, it sent an email. So in this example, Mr. Robot shot me a note and said, hey, there's something waiting for quality checks. I click on the link, and it auto opens the FSOT transact interface, okay? Now, if this is running on a station, we could have had it automatically open. I wanted to show it to you through the email, so the only time a user is bothered is if there's some type of problem. So if you look at this particular invoice, you can see that there's a coffee stain or a watermark on the invoice number, which is the reality of invoice processing. And as I enter the information, you can see it goes away. The amount confidence was low, but we'll go ahead and validate both those issues. And in this example, we also extracted line items. So if I come into the tables, you'll see that the line item information is extracted automatically. We'll go back here. On this particular invoice, I put a few issues. I broke the extraction rule so I could show you that we can clean things up. Once again, doing that exceptions processing. So in this example, I put in a rule set that actually does some math for me. So if there's a math error or a validation issue within the invoice line items, we can go ahead and clear those as well. Once again, that 110-100 rule, catching those issues before they enter the system of record. So my validation is done for those 5 invoices. I can go ahead and continue processing if I like. And then you can see Mr. Robot sent me an email. And just for demo purposes, I wanted to keep this simple. We actually just send a CSV export of the invoice data to the user via email. Now I could act on that with my robots. I could export that to a folder and have the robot ingest that and enter it into a system of record. But I just wanted to give you a visual. There's all the data that was extracted. Once again, uploaded, processed from start to finish, solved exceptions, and then routed it back as well. Okay. So with those robots, you're pretty much unlimited on what you can do in the RPA tools at this point. So that's a quick overview. I talked about the 5 challenges, how we can resolve that with FSOT or FSOT tied into an RPA tool via our web services. Are there any questions?